I'm Dr. Louise Bertini, the Executive Director of the American Research Center in Egypt, and we are a cultural institute whose mission is to support research on all aspects of Egyptian history and culture, foster a broader knowledge about Egypt among the general public, and support American-Egyptian cultural collaborations. Throughout Egypt's 5,000-year history, the dead, whether kings, individuals, or family members, have a history of being revered. These exalted spirits were venerated not only as semi-divinities, but also because they could intercede with gods for the living. The idea of this conference was thus conceived jointly by the American Research Center in Egypt, the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, and the American University in Cairo to host not only this conference, but a joint exhibition under the same name, which just opened yesterday. This three-day conference will cover the veneration of deceased figures in Egypt from the Pharaonic period through current times, using a diverse array of evidence, including text, images, and lived traditions. This conference will feature academic papers, as well as panel discussions focused on current practices related to the veneration of the dead and their origins, which may be traced back to ancient Egypt. The exhibition at the Egyptian Museum explores who was venerated, why, how, and traces the traditions that link ancient Egypt to the modern day. The exhibition is also complemented by stories on our Google Arts and Culture page that deepen the visitor's understanding of the veneration of the dead in Egypt through time. And on the back of the brochure for the exhibition, you can find a QR code which will take you directly to our Google Arts and Culture page. Before we begin the conference, there are a number of thank yous in order to those who have made this conference possible. I first would like to thank the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, specifically His Excellency Minister Dr. Khaled El-Anani, Secretary General Dr. Mustafa Waziri, Head of the Museum Sector Dr. Motman Osman, and the Museum Director Mrs. Sabah Abdul Razak, and all museum staff for their support of the exhibition and this conference. Much appreciation is also in order to the United States Department of State, the Embassy of the United States in Egypt, and the Council of American Overseas Research Centers for their generous support of both this conference and the exhibition. I also want to thank the American University in Cairo, specifically Salima Ikram and Dr. Noha Abud Khatwa, and Dr. Mary Kupelian from Helwan University for both organizing the exhibition and this conference. And finally, I want to thank Dr. Yasmin El-Shazli, who envisioned this conference and took her dream into a reality, and this would not have been possible without her. So with that, I want to welcome our next welcoming remarks from distinguished Professor of Egyptology, Dr. Salima Kram of the American University in Cairo.
Good morning, everyone. It is a delight to, I'm going to stand here because I'm too short and I can't see you otherwise. Anyway, it is a delight to welcome you from in person, some of you, and virtually for the rest of you. But I'm glad that after a very long time, we're actually seeing live bodies, and it will be a wonderful chance, I hope, to exchange ideas and views in the flesh. I would like to thank again RC, as well as AUC, the Ministry, and the Egyptian Museum, and those of you who have not had a chance to visit the exhibition, which just opened last night. We very much hope that you will be able to see it during the course of this week. One of the things about this conference that we're hoping to do and to emphasize is to link the way the past continues into the present. This was something that when I was a student, I was very interested in. And when I came to study at AUC for my year abroad, Dr. Faiza Hakel was also very keen on this, and she will be speaking and giving the keynote speech today. Obviously, our interests coincided, but also grew from there. And it is very nice to see how generations of us, now Yasmin, who was my student, and Dr. Hakel's student as well, are all taking on the same baton and moving forward with these linkages, because to show that Egypt's 5,000-year history, in some ways there are many changes, but in some ways the core essence of the people who live here is the same. And I think during the course of this conference, you will see these linkages expressed in a variety of ways. And one of my favorites is Liz Wickett's film, where you can see the past just completely first smashing into and then blending with the present. So I look forward to the next 4 days. And before we continue and I introduce Dr. El-Shazli, I'd like to do a few business matters. First of all, please remember to wear your masks unless you're on the podium. Second of all, bathrooms, you go out here, women to the right, men to the left. At some point, there is a cafeteria open here, and we will be having coffee at the 10 o'clock break and the 4 o'clock break out here in the fountain area. And also the AUC bookstore, which is located down beyond the bathrooms to the right, will offer a 10% discount to anyone who is registered for the conference. So we hope you make good use of that. So without further ado, I would like to pass the baton on to Dr. Yasmin El-Shazli, who is going to moderate the first session of this conference. Thank you very much.